Nelle sue letture, maestro, lei ci ha detto che se noi ci impegnassimo abbastanza per crescere, almeno per un 30%, sarebbe poi compito della natura colmare il resto della misura. Ebbene, quello che vorrei chiedere non riguarda me stessa, ma il pianeta, il nostro pianeta. Secondo gli scienziati, la Terra è un malato ormai grave. Io amo tanto questo pianeta, amo tutti coloro che lo abitano e vorrei tanto fare qualcosa per riuscire a cambiare tutto quello che sta accadendo. Vorrei che lei mi consigliasse, maestro. Mi dica, per favore, cosa potrei fare. Grazie di cuore per la sua presenza, per la sua esistenza, per tutto quello che ci dona con il suo spirito unico che vorrei tanto abbracciare. Grazie.
네, 스승님 먼
Seuseungnim, thank you very much for traveling a far distance to visit us. You said in your lecture that if we make a 30% effort to grow, the great nature will fill in the rest. I want to ask you about our planet instead of my personal question. The Earth is getting seriously sick now. I love this beautiful planet and all the people of the world. How can we restore this diseased planet? And I give all my heart with love and respect to you, Seuseungnim, who teaches us the principle of nature with all your strength. Thank you.
예. 이 지구촌이
You say that the earth is sick, but let's look at how much we have utilized this planet.
얼마나 썼느냐 요걸 지금 계산을 해봐요. 이 지구촌을 쓴 것이
We have utilized 70% of the earth.
우리가 70%
When we have used up 70% of earth, that is a tremendous usage, and the earth is now polluted very much.
이게 오염이 좀 많이 된 상태죠. 그럼 사람들이 우리가
This is because humanity has lived and developed to the 70% level.
그러면 이 70%
At 70% of development, we are confused about what we should learn and what we must do now.
이 70% 운영이 돼
Because 70% has been utilized, human beings have lived up to 70% with their acquired knowledge and logic.
버리면서 살았던 시대에. 그러니까 오만 논리 그러니까
A lot of logic has come out into the international community.
이 논리를 우리가 접하고 있으니
To experience life with this logic, people traveled here and there, trying this and that, reading these books, those books. While trying out all kinds of methods, time passed by very quickly.
시간을 아껴 써야
We should be careful in spending our precious time. Our lifespan has a time limit, but we wasted time experiencing all kinds of things in life. People go to India and Southeast Asia, and if someone mentions an interesting place to go, then they try to go to those places, thereby wasting their precious time for decades. In this case, when do people live their actual lives? When are you going to live your life? Will you die just to have experienced these things?
지금 이런 것들이 문제가
Such things are a big problem.
이제 70% 운행이
So, how do we know that it's the end of 70% utilization? People said that Earth would end on December 22nd, 2012.
정말 소리까지 했습니다.
It was not the end of the world, but instead was the end of the first stage.
1단계가 끝났다. 70%
70% was the end of the era where we have experienced everything and living with our logic.
시대가 끝났다. 자기 논리
Era of living with individual logic and their methodology ended.
만지던 시대가 끝나고 요때가 되면은
What happens at this time in society is the beginning of era of common sense.
라고 이야기하는 때가 오는 거죠. 상식.
Common sense.
근데 이 상식이라는
When the time has come to be era of common sense, era of logic concludes, and reorganizes into common sense.
그러니까 세계의
When all the experiences we have lived in the world become organized by common sense, all the information will be organized and uploaded onto the internet.
그래서 인터넷이 지금 나와
The internet has been created to gather all the acquired data,
자기 논리고
all the claims that people and organizations have asserted their so-called right answers while living in their logic and common sense will be uploaded onto the internet.
인터넷에 들어와서 이것이 전부 다 종합적으로
Now, artificial intelligence has been created to comprehensively arrange this information to bring forth a new era.
맞춰가지고
The true internet society begins by uploading and arranging all these things together.
인터넷 사회라고 하는 겁니다. 세계의 모든 정보가
All the information in the world is uploaded onto the internet, and we try to arrive at a comprehensive answer through reorganizing them on the artificial intelligence AI computer.
와가 있는 거예요.
We have reached to this stage of development, which means the first phase is complete.
어디로 가냐?
Then where are we headed to in stage 2? The next step is to complete the remaining 30% of human history, which is 정법 시대, meaning era of righteous law. The future is where we need to live our own lives.
요는 시대가 지금
Even though this period has arrived, people still do not realize it.
바르게 살아야 돼.
We must live righteously. How?
너와 내가 만나
If you and I meet, we have to treat each other properly, and we must understand the principle of treating others correctly.
인연을 주는데
God gives us relationships. We should see the reason why He gives us relationships and how to live together in peace and harmony.
바르게 살면 신께서 원하는 것이
And this is what God wants.
하느님께서 원하는 것은
Believing in God or following Him is not what God wants.
내가
God provides us with an environment and relationships.
사람과 사람
You will meet people, He will provide environment and people to meet. If you treat people correctly and live righteously, then everyone will have a joyful life. So God leads us that way. But we still do not understand how to treat people properly.
이 주는 인연
We don't realize the fundamentals of how to manage our relationships.
내 방법으로
You can meet people with delight at first, but later you will drift apart if you treat them with your common sense in your own way.
단절이 돼.
You become disconnected as you grow apart and begin to lie to one another.
이런 것들이 자꾸 일어나.
An era of confusion is happening since such things take place very often.
이런 것을 우리는
This is what we call character education. How people should treat one another is called the character education.
사람을 바르게 대하는 법.
The way to treat people properly, to manage relationships correctly, and to utilize given environments appropriately is what human beings must study, and this is called character education.
이걸 인성교육이라고 합니다. 요런 걸 너무 받지
Without receiving this type of education, you have been only chasing after something.
우리한테 힘을 줄까 봐.
You still beg and expect to gain power or hope that God will give you something more than what you have.
이 지금
You have been living this way for thousands of years.
까지 매달리며 산다. 네 앞에 준 거를 모르는
You will have joyful lives if you properly utilize what is right in front of you. However, you do not know how to live correctly.
그래서 지금 전부
You didn't even realize that the world was getting so polluted while living a life of confusion.
우리가 모르고 지나가다가 지금 지구촌에 오일
Finally, you are beginning to discover it now.
우리가 헤매면서
Due to our life of wandering, we can only live to cause pollution in the world.
우리 지구촌은 오염되게끔 지금 살 수밖에 없는 게 되는 거죠. 사람이 바르게
If we live righteously,
이 지구촌
then we will not live to cause pollution on this planet.
근데 내가 짜증을 내면서
If you live irritated, then your irritated speech itself is a pollution.
성내면서 살면
If you live by fighting and insulting the person next to you, this dark energy causes pollution in the world.
오염을 지금
If you fight with a close friend and curse,
얼만큼 내놓느냐
you are polluting the world.
얼마큼 우리가 싸우느냐.
How much pollution have you made by doing such things?
이런 것들을 얼마나
It depends on how much irritation and pain you have put forth. Earth becomes polluted precisely that much.
내가 성이 되긴 하죠.
When you are very angry, you throw this and it will break into pieces. Then the world becomes polluted that much.
좋아.
Say, for example, that you are in a good mood. Everyone in front of you looks lovely, so there's less pollution to the society. In this case, you don't speak evil words, so no contamination occurs, and this will reduce the pollution to the society.
우리가
When the industrial age began, people started their own companies with greed and didn't care about environmental pollution.
심해서 일어나니까 오염시키는
So the world community has become polluted now.
이 지구촌이 지금 오염되는 거예요. 산업을 바르게
What
하면
happens when you operate industries properly?
걷어집니다.
Pollution will retreat.
이 지구촌에
Earth has a self-purification ability and can handle certain amount of pollution completely on its own.
보다